Remembering an officer killed in the line of duty. How communities are coming together to honor the life of Officer Amy Caprio.
I'm truly sorry for the actions that my son did.
Hear this mother's emotional message after her son is accused of murdering a police officer.
Alexa, are you spying on me? How a malfunction sent one couple's private conversation to a random person.
Fox 45 News at 10 starts now.
Mourners gather in Perry Hall into the night to honor the sacrifice of Officer Amy Caprio.
You can see the tributes around the neighborhood for Officer Amy Caprio. Councilman David Marks sent us this photo. Churches and businesses are also honoring the fallen officer.
The police family is a large and close-knit family. Mothers of other police officers helped hang ribbons along the road. One of them recalls a conversation she had with her daughter.
My daughter's an officer, and she's been out on the road a year, and when she first started, she just kept telling me about this girl that helped her. She was so cool, she was so nice, she taught me so much, and it was her, and it was Amy.
Well, the funeral service for Officer Caprio is set for tomorrow. The service is scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. at Mountain Christian Church in Joppa. The family has requested no video or photographs inside the church. Following the service at 11:30, there will be a funeral procession to Delaney Valley Memorial Gardens in Timonium. And a service of committal is scheduled for 1 p.m. at the Memorial Gardens.
Well, it's a move that's been drawing some criticism today. An emotional news conference where the mother of the teen accused of killing Officer Amy Caprio appeared with her attorneys. People have been upset at the timing of it, coming before Officer Caprio has been buried. Well, at the news conference, Tamika Wilson apologized for the actions of her son.
I'm truly sorry for the actions that my son did. I don't know what was in his mind at the time. I don't know. I was not there.
Well, 16-year-old Dante Harris is charged with premeditated first-degree murder. Wilson says Dante had never been arrested for anything until last December. He was detained multiple times for stealing cars. But Dante escaped from a group home and returned to juvenile detention in Baltimore City. Yet he was released back on home detention.
Numerous of times I asked them to detain him, to keep him, so nothing like this would happen.
Wilson blames the public defender and juvenile master for ordering her son released back to home monitoring.
Harris's attorneys also spoke out at the news conference. Keith Daniels talked with a legal expert who believes that they're speaking out as part of a defense tactic. Keith?
Well, Jennifer, there's no date for the trial yet, but the expert I spoke to believe the attorneys could already be making their opening statements. In Baltimore, two well-known attorneys coming to the defense of their client.
He drove away from danger.
Why was it suspicious for someone to call?
Warren Brown and J. Wendell Gordon represent Dante Harris, the 16-year-old charged with first-degree murder in the death of Baltimore County police officer Amy Caprio. Both attorneys going public, trying to put the best face on their client.
Lawyers must develop a theory for how to defend someone.
Doug Colbert, a professor at the University of Maryland School of Law, says the attorneys are doing what defense attorneys do. It's part of a strategy.
It's a necessary move because if you do not present your client in the most favorable light, the public is only left with the tragic and horrendous killing of a young police officer.
Investigators say Harris was behind the wheel of a Jeep Monday when police say he struck and killed Officer Caprio, who was responding to a call about a suspicious vehicle, when police say she encountered the Jeep and pulled her gun. Brown says his client panicked.
They make it sound like he drove at her. But by the same token, you can't have it both ways because they also admit that he told them his head was buried down in the seat.
We want to know, why was there such aggression displayed by this officer?
They're trying very hard to counter the image that has been presented to the public.
Well, the attorneys have also called on police to release the body camera video of the incident, but prosecutors say the video will not be released. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Keith, thank you. Baltimore City State's Attorney candidate Ivan Bates is speaking out on Officer Caprio's slaying tonight. Bates, a defense attorney and former city prosecutor himself, held a news conference at his downtown office. In short, he said he believes State's Attorney's office could have done more to prevent the system breakdown that resulted in Officer Caprio's death. And tonight, Bates blamed City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby.
She's the system. If you're the system, it's the system's fault. She's the system. As the state's attorney, you're the system. The oath is to keep the citizens safe.
Bates has pledged to use his 2 decades of legal experience to rebuild the state's attorney's office. Stay with Fox 45 for continuing coverage of the death of Officer Amy Caprio, including the mourners in Perry Hall tonight. You can also find the latest information anytime on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Continued reaction tonight to the new NFL policy requiring players to stand for the national anthem if they are on the field before the game. As we discuss this, we'd like to ask you, do you agree with the NFL's new policy? Tell us what you think by going to foxbaltimore.com/vote. Results will update live. President Donald Trump said this earlier today.
Well, I think that's good. I don't think people should be staying in locker rooms, but still, I think it's good. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem.
But pro athletes were also talking about the move.
I think it's just typical of the NFL. You know, they're just playing to their fan base, and they're just, you know, basically trying to use the anthem as fake patriotism, nationalism, scaring people.
Well, Ravens head coach John Harbaugh released this statement on the team's Twitter account today, saying in part that he believes in standing for the flag, but also believes in the freedoms that the flag represents. The Ravens' organized team activity continued in Owings Mills today, but it was the first time the media was there.
And things got a little, well, political at times, we'd say. Sports director Bruce Cunningham joins us with more on that part of the story. Bruce?
Kaya dominated the news on Wednesday, and it's not going away. The NFL's new policy on kneeling during the national anthem remains a hot topic. And even though the players are here to shake the rust off and get ready for training camp later this summer, the new anthem policy, in which those who kneel must stay in the locker room to protest, was a hot topic. Each individual team has to make a decision on how to operate within the new policy, and John Harbaugh says the Ravens will follow a certain protocol.
Something that's going to be an organizational decision. I'll start with Steve Bisciotti and Dick Cass and Ozzie, and I'm sure they'll ask my input on it. And I'm sure we'll talk to our players about it, probably most importantly, and try to do what's right, you know, by the organization, by our fans. Make sure our fans, you know, are you know, on board with what we're doing.
There is another issue besides the anthem, and it involves quarterbacks, both the present and future ones. Morgan Anson has that story later in Sports Unlimited.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Back to our question of the day. Do you agree with the NFL's new policy? Here's how the votes are breaking down right now. You can see right now it's about 60-40 saying yes, you agree. Well, you can still tell us what you think. Just go to foxbaltimore.com/vote.
Hateful vandalism, some directed at a high school principal, was found in Howard County this morning. Paul Gessler reports from Glenelg High, where the school addressed this issue as they honored seniors today.
It's such an awful thing for this to happen on a day where we're going to be celebrating our seniority.
Students and staff arrived at school Thursday to find graffiti on walls and sidewalks.
It's just unacceptable.
School and county leaders Thursday met on short notice to address the graffiti they're labeling a hate crime.
That is beyond belief. If one would think that that would be a prank, that falls into a category of hate.
I'm mad, I'm angry. That's where I live. I could walk to this school.
The school's principal, David Burton, was the target of one of the racist messages.
He is a man of dignity and strength, and we're all rallying around him to support him.
Staff removed some signs late morning. Other messages, school officials say, were covered with blankets and tape.
This is our school. All 4 of my kids went to that school, and my daughter teaches there. That's not the Glenelg community, folks.
Police Thursday afternoon announced they arrested 4 Glenelg High School students. All of them are 18 years old, and they were caught on school surveillance. They're being charged with hate crimes. Principal Burton addressed the matter in front of the student body here Thursday, and the superintendent says he received a standing ovation. Reporting from Glenelg and Howard County, Paul Gessler, Fox 45 News.
New questions tonight about breakdowns in the justice system before the death of Officer Amy Caprio. What the head of Juvenile Services in Maryland is saying about it tonight.
Mild temperatures out there today. It looks like we're seeing mild temperatures tonight. Right now sitting at 77 degrees, mainly clear skies. We will start the weekend off on a dry note, but there could be changes headed our way in the form of showers and thunderstorms. I'll time out your holiday weekend forecast next.
As the community prepares to say goodbye to the officer, our live team coverage of the death of Officer Caprio continues tonight.
We continue with Shelley Orman. Shelley is live in Perry Hall, where the viewing for Officer Caprio ended about an hour ago. Shelley?
Well, Kai and Jennifer, things have just wrapped up here at the funeral home, and police have just in the last 5 minutes reopened Bel Air Road. It had been shut down to traffic all afternoon as people have been parking in the road and coming up here just to accommodate the number of people that have been coming. It has been a long and it has been an emotional afternoon. We have seen hundreds, if not thousands, of people coming by here to pay their respects.
Remembering her as a fantastic officer that I got the pleasure to work with. I'm a better person because I worked with her.
She always had a big smile. And, you know, I can honestly say there have been times where I know I was getting a little frustrated with work and stuff, and she would always kind of bring me back down at times.
She was the best of best friends. I don't know how she had the hours in the day to be there for everybody, to always be checking on people, making plans with people, catch up with people, see people, talk to people.
Fresh out of the academy 4 years ago, Officer Amy Caprio worked in Essex, where she forged deep bonds with her fellow officers who are sharing their memories.
She could have been chief someday. She was a quick learner, very intelligent. You know, as a field training officer, you just kind of hope they bring a lot of things to the table, and she brought a lot to the table.
She's the person you called for help. She's the person you relied on. She's the person when you hear she's coming to your call, that's who you want there on your call.
All afternoon Thursday, a steady line of mourners waited outside the funeral home.
It's making me pretty speechless to actually see it in person. They were telling me about it all morning, but to actually see it, it speaks to, it really does just speak to who she was.
Thursday night, dozens gathered in a different line across the street with candles and signs of support. As loved ones prepare to say goodbye tomorrow at Officer Caprio's funeral, her fellow officers say she will never be far from their hearts.
We'll do exactly what Amy would want us to do, which would be strong, be there for each other, do a great job at work, and be a great friend to each other. We're family. We'll get through it.
Now, there have also been 2 patrol cars parked in front of the funeral home today. This one you're seeing right now, this was Officer Caprio's first car when she graduated from the academy 4 years ago, and she started working in the Essex precinct. There is a sign on it that they were holding at the vigil today that we saw earlier. The second car was her permanent car, the one she had earned and the one that she used when she was in Parkville. That's number 814, and at that vigil today, they lit their candles at 814 tonight in honor of Officer Caprio. They've already moved that car, likely taking it up for her funeral for tomorrow morning. Live in Perry Hall, Shelley Orman, Fox 45 News.
After spending nearly $280 million a year to protect the public from juvenile delinquents, a 16-year-old is accused of killing a Baltimore County police officer.
As part of our long-term look into public safety in Baltimore, Operation Crime and Justice, lead investigative reporter Joey LaPola sits down with the head of the state's juvenile justice system for answers. Joy?
Kai, Dante Harris was a part of the juvenile justice system, a system that prosecutors, state senators, and even the head of Maryland's juvenile services admits is broken. Here is the timeline of events that led up to the deadly confrontation between 16-year-old Dante Harris and Baltimore County Police Officer Amy Caprio. These records show Harris's criminal background over the past 5 months in how the Department of Juvenile Services handled his case.
We're all players in the system.
Events I questioned the Secretary of Juvenile Services about during a one-on-one interview.
How could this person even be out on the street?
When you're charged with an offense, you're innocent until proven guilty.
In March, Harris was found guilty of auto theft and placed in a shelter. He was then rearrested. At that point, DJS recommends Harris be placed in another shelter. Harris is expected to show up for his sentencing in April, but is a no-show. The next day, he's arrested and locked up for 30 days. On May 10th,
11 days before Harris allegedly kills a Baltimore County police officer, a judge releases him.
I take issue with that decision, and that's what I'm talking about. We have to look at the decision making.
But did you have a representative present during that May 10th hearing?
I don't believe we had anyone there.
Well, did your agency not know that was a possibility, that he might be released?
It's not about whether we knew it was a possibility. It was, were we solicited for input? We were not solicited for input.
But didn't you already know that leading up to May 10th? He was AWOL.
He was in detention for 30 days.
He was in detention, but prior to that, his behavior, he kept stealing cars. He kept running away from group homes. I don't know what, why it had to take even the May 10th hearing. This individual wasn't being...
But you understand that we don't make the decision of who gets monitored. We don't make the decision of who gets released. We get ordered to put monitoring equipment on somebody.
But you could be present in these hearings and again, at least speak your mind. At least tell the court reasons why.
Well, maybe that's something that we can do as an improvement moving forward.
Currently, the Department of Juvenile Services is reviewing its policies and the handling of Harris's case.
Do you think DJ has dropped the ball?
No, I do not.
You can watch my entire interview with the Department of Juvenile Services Secretary on foxbaltimore.com under Raw News. Now, if you would like us to investigate something, just give us a call at 410-662-1456, or you can email us at crimeandjustice@foxbaltimore.com. I'm Joy LaPola, and this is Operation Crime and Justice.
And now it's time for a look at our weather forecast.
Here's meteorologist Vita Sri.
Well, we saw a pretty clear day out there. Plenty of sunshine, drying conditions, high pressure pretty much in control. Looks like we'll stay dry going into the evening hours. And as we scan the skies, HD radar showing clear conditions out there. If you're headed out tonight on the roadways, some folks got to leave a little early. It looks like quite travel roads across the area. As we get into the temperatures, it looks like we're very comfortable across the state. Looking at 67 degrees in Denton, up in Westminster, 72, out in Cumberland, about 68 degrees. In fact, a little closer look, 61 in Oakland. Hagerstown right now, 72 degrees. Down in Laurel, about 67 degrees. Frederick, 64 around the central portion of the state, looking at 70 degrees in Bel Air, 72 in Westminster, and then the Eastern Shore, we're seeing upper 60s across the area, looking at 67 in Denton. Some folks going to the Eastern Shore out past Salisbury, 63 degrees, Ocean City at 66. Clear skies. It looks like tonight will be nice and clear throughout the entire state. 68 degrees for the most part, and then tomorrow we'll get plenty of sunshine warming up, but there will be the threat of some thunderstorms moving in for the holiday weekend. I'll time that out for you and have a closer look coming up in just a few moments.
All right, Vitas, thank you. The death of a person hit by an automated car. The problems that investigators found with the program running the car. That's next on Fox 45 News at 10.
Also ahead, the teenagers accused of killing Officer Amy Caprio were supposed to be in school. What our Project Baltimore investigators found out in less than 10 minutes on Fox 45 News at 10.
Next, why one woman says her Amazon Echo is spying on her. How a random person heard a private conversation in less than 3 minutes.
One family says their Amazon smart speaker recorded their conversation and then sent it to a random person on their contact list. Well, her name is Danielle, and she was contacted by the friend, and their friend told her about the conversation he heard. The couple called Amazon. The company checked the device and confirmed their story. The engineer told them the device may have incorrectly guessed at what they were saying. The device is supposed to notify owners it is preparing to send a recording.
Stunning new information about the fatal crash involving a self-driving Uber car in Arizona. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, the computer in the Uber first saw the bicyclist 6 seconds before the crash. The computer first thought it was seeing an unknown object, then a vehicle, then a bicycle, and predicted it would take several possible paths. At 1.3 seconds before impact, the computer decided an emergency braking maneuver was needed. According to Uber, however, the computer is not supposed to hit the brakes in an emergency. The driver is supposed to do that. But the computer is not designed to alert the driver.
An alert after a confirmed case of measles in our area. Health departments in Virginia and Maryland say the person arrived at Dulles International Airport last Tuesday afternoon. Then Thursday went to the Nordstrom Rack in Gaithersburg before court on Friday in Rockville. Health departments warning people, especially people that aren't vaccinated who visited those places, to watch out for symptoms.
Still ahead on Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock, terror in France. A shocking number of people who've been killed in the last 3 years. A look at the cost of those attacks on loved ones.
And filling the post, Baltimore County makes a move today to decide on the leadership at the top, who will serve out the remaining term of the late county executive.
Next, the teens accused of killing Officer Amy Caprio were supposed to be in school. What our Project Baltimore team uncovered when the News at 10 continues.
And timing out the temperatures through the overnight, pretty mild, looking at low 60s as we get into right around 3 a.m., 4 o'clock in the morning. Low 61 degrees, 58. But then we're getting up to about 72 by 8 a.m. It's going to warm up nicely to kick off the weekend with plenty of sunshine, but there's rain to talk about. I'll break that down for you coming up in my forecast.
We're learning more about the 4 teens charged in the death of Officer Caprio. All 4 suspects went to Baltimore City schools.
Project Baltimore lead investigative reporter Chris Pabst has been looking into their education backgrounds. Chris, what did you find?
There are many unanswered questions in this case, like why weren't these teenagers in school at 2 o'clock on a Monday afternoon? So we looked into it. We start with Dante Harris, the 16-year-old accused of driving the Jeep that ran over the officer. Harris is listed as being in 8th grade at Excel Academy, which is an alternative school. It's also a school where last fall, Project Baltimore reported 6 of its students had been killed in the previous 10 months. As for Harris, sources inside city schools tell Fox 45 he missed 100 days of school this year and was suspended for another 7 days. His most recent GPA was 0.2. Eugene Genius is currently enrolled as a senior at Frederick Douglass. He had transferred there in January from City College. Since January 25th, he has been marked as absent 66 days, our source tells us. His cumulative GPA for high school is listed at 2.1. And Derek Matthews, we couldn't find a school where he was enrolled. We're told he was on house arrest for a vehicle theft back in March. Durrell Ward, we found, bounced between schools, including Renaissance Academy, where a student died after he was stabbed in 2015. Ward also attended National Academy Foundation, where a source who knew him says Ward was a good kid who had no discipline. We're told the 15-year-old was in 9th grade, and while he went to school, our source says he wasn't in class much. Our source close to Renaissance Academy also had some insights on Ward, saying he had no disciplinary record at that school. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
Stay with Fox 45 for continuing coverage of the death of Officer Amy Caprio. You can also find the latest information anytime on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
Can you delete our messages to me? Just so we remember us in the season. You want to delete the messages? Yeah. Why do you want to delete the messages? I don't know. I'm just nervous about it in case somebody else sees it. Do you want me to do that right now? Would you mind? Did you delete it? Yes.
Serious questions of integrity and accountability tonight for one city state's attorney candidate, Thiru Vignarajah, caught in a scandal 3 years ago by the undercover group Project Veritas. At the time, he was working for the Maryland Attorney General's office. In the video, Vignarajah appears to be sharing unauthorized information with a woman in a hotel room. Tonight, Crime and Justice reporter Joy LaPola questions Vignarajah on the video and its potential impact on the state's attorney's race.
You were Deputy Attorney General at the time. In part of the video, one of the videos, you reference information. You suggest that it's information you're sharing with this individual that shouldn't be shared. Now you're vying for state's attorney. That office has the responsibility of overseeing a lot of sensitive information. For anyone who might be wondering or questioning your integrity, How do you address that? How do you balance the two?
And this is a widely discredited organization that does this. They go after progressive causes and progressive individuals by taking things out of context, by manipulating the video, by doctoring it. The Attorney General's office reviewed it and found that there was no merit to their claims, and that was it.
Why'd you say it?
You know, nobody wants to have their private conversations secretly recorded, and the reality is that there was no merit to their claim, to any of their claims. The Attorney General's office confirmed that.
Let's say you're elected state's attorney. If one of your assistant state's attorney did something like this, how would you handle it?
We would look at the source, we would look at what happened, and we would, decide in light of everything what the appropriate action is.
Does it speak to your integrity?
I mean, my career speaks for itself. I've been a federal prosecutor, a city prosecutor, and the Deputy Attorney General of Maryland. I have been proud of the things I've accomplished for the sake of Baltimore, for the sake of the people of Baltimore City and Maryland. That's what I think I am defined by, and I think the people of Baltimore will know that.
Vignarajah has been critical of the Baltimore Police Department, saying one of his goals would be to restore integrity to that force. The issue of the video came up again last week by one of Vignarajah's opponents, Ivan Bates.
That video makes Baltimore in this race a joke. That's really bad. But when you also look at the judgment that he exercised to place himself in that situation, I mean, Baltimore City's suffering enough.
Breaking news in the North Korea standoff. Leader Kim Jong-un says the country is still willing to sit down for talks with the United States at any time, at any format. Earlier today, President Donald Trump called off the planned talks next month. Kim called the decision unexpected and very regrettable.
Well, many things can happen, and a great opportunity lies ahead potentially. I believe that this is a tremendous setback for North Korea and indeed a setback for the world.
What killed the deal was a statement from North Korea's deputy foreign minister who said North Korea was ready for a nuclear-to-nuclear showdown with the U.S. if talks failed. Tonight, in our ongoing look at terrorism in France, some 245 people have been killed there in just the last 3 years at the hands of radical jihadists. The latest victim earlier this month. This evening, a look at the cost of those attacks on loved ones left behind. Inside Your World's Jonathan Elias traveled to Paris for this exclusive report.
Jean-Francois Mondegar visits his daughter here every week. Lamia was his only daughter, just 30 years old, when she was gunned down by radical jihadists at a Paris cafe in 2015. It was a Friday night, and 3 teams of terrorists carried out 6 distinct attacks almost simultaneously across Paris, killing 130 people.
We must never forget this moment. Never.
Patricia Correa lost her 35-year-old daughter, Priscilla, that night. When she left the house, this is exactly...
Yes.
You have not touched it in 3 years.
No. I can't.
She says she still wakes up in the middle of the night crying and can't forget the last time she saw her daughter's face at the coroner's office.
On the other side of the glass, I saw my daughter with a sheet.
Up to her neck?
Yes. It was terrible. I can explain that.
Across France, no one can explain why so many have been killed by radical jihadists.
I think I think about my son every day.
Ever since Stéphane Surratt's 23-year-old son Hugo was killed at the Bataclan, he has been studying radicalization inside France, trying to make sense of it all.
I discovered that hate will not help me. A lot of people say, oh, you must have a lot of hate, a lot of anger. Frankly speaking, not. If you feel hate, you can be burned by hate and destroyed by that.
A part of him died that night when he lost his son, he told us, and we found that burden is shared by those who survived. You were late.
I was late. That was the biggest stroke of luck, and not all of my friends were that lucky.
By the time Harvard-trained lawyer Sarah Kay arrived at the Bataclan, she could hear gunfire. 2 of her close friends were killed, and to this day, she is racked with guilt.
You know, you always think you're going to be that person who's going to change something, and Of course you're not.
What could you have changed?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maybe being a human shield. I don't know.
But then you'd be dead.
And then I'd be dead.
The terrorists in France have done more than just kill their innocent victims. They have left a wake of despair. For Inside Your World, I'm Jonathan Elias.
Jonathan Elias reports continue next Monday with a look at how France is aggressively responding to a relentless stream of threats facing their country.
Severe storms are rolling through the west, but there are some silver linings in all these clouds. Let's take a look in today's Inside the Storm. Storm chasers were tracking a severe thunderstorm for about 60 miles through western Nebraska. Look at that thunderhead. The structure on the storm changed multiple times. This led to blinding rain on the highway. But this storm also produced a beautiful rainbow. And the same storm created a ton of hail in parts of Nebraska. This video came in near the city of Oshkosh, where the hail was so heavy it left behind drifts near the road. I had to say it, I'm sorry. And more beauty amid chaos. Look at the rainbow created by the ocean off Hawaii as a third lava flow enters the water near Pahokee.
Just again, the pictures are just so amazing. And
unbelievable, right?
It's really just the devastation is so unfortunate, but the display of nature is incredible.
It's incredible. Our hearts go out to those folks here. In the meantime, we're trying to figure out what our weather's going to look like come Memorial Day.
That's right. Your chief meteorologist, Venus Reed, with a look at the 7-day Weather Authority forecast. Venus.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to continue to start off the weekend on a dry note. Plenty of sunshine. Nice and clear out there right now. Looking at our sky cam down towards Towson, we can see 67 degrees. Our winds are calm and humidity levels not too bad, but at 61%. It was a lot lower earlier today, so we had very dry air in place. We are seeing those temperatures across the state, sitting at 68 degrees in Bel Air, 64 in Elkton, down in Stevensville, right there at 68 degrees, 71 in Annapolis, 68 in Columbia, back in Frederick, right around 64 degrees. So mild temperatures tonight, dry conditions on the radar, nothing going on. We'll stay dry through the overnight, looking pretty good as far as quiet conditions, and that will be starting your day off tomorrow. For early risers or travelers or anywhere around the state, you should be looking pretty good. If you get down south of North Carolina, there are a few showers down there as this high pressure continues to move up to the northeast. This will move on out, but you see all this rain over South Carolina, down towards Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, back to the west. All of that is going to slowly start making its way up the East Coast, and we will have our chance for some showers through parts of the weekend. So it isn't going to be a totally dry one, but there will be some threat of some storms out there as we get into the weekend. In fact, on the future scan, we can see here, timing it out, looks like we are seeing in the morning for the early risers and commuters. It looks like we have nice clear conditions across the eastern seaboard. As we get into the late afternoon, some showers out in western Maryland, looking at 5 p.m. on Friday, out towards West Virginia. So if you're doing any camping or mountain biking, whatever you're going to do out in western Maryland, take those take the rain gear with you because you'll need it. Saturday, we start off with a few little pop-up showers, but there will be sun mixed in there, so not a washout, but it looks like we'll see the showers picking up through the afternoon. This is 8 p.m., and then we get into Sunday. It looks like we start off with a little bit of sun, but then we get into the afternoon, the daily heating. We fire up the atmosphere, getting some showers and thunderstorms. This is 6 p.m. across the area, and then through the evening. Looks like on Monday, we have that low that's riding up the coast, just off the coast here of the eastern shore, so out towards Ocean City, some showers. But Monday, we look at some showers scattered here and there. So what I'm looking at is in your extended forecast, plenty of sunshine for Friday, looking at 86 degrees, 86 on Saturday with some sun clouds, but then we get a chance for some showers and thunderstorms. Better chance on Sunday across the area, 85 degrees. As we get to Monday, about a 40 to 50% chance, depending on where you are, of some spotty showers for Memorial Day, 80 degrees, and it looks like Tuesday and Wednesday, still some remaining showers, and then Thursday some clouds. But it looks like there will be on and off showers with some breaks of sun here and there. So if you're lucky enough to be in a spot where the showers are missing you, that would be a good thing for a Memorial Day. But nonetheless, just have the rain gear ready as we get into the latter half of the weekend. Back to you.
Thank you, Venus. A leadership decision, action today to fill the term of the late Baltimore County executive who will assume the post, and why many say it should be a seamless transition.
Coming up tonight on the late edition, with summer approaching, it's time to start thinking about summer travel. And with that comes the threat of hurricane season. What experts are saying. In a few hours, former producer Harvey Weinstein is expected to turn himself in to New York City police. According to officials, he'll face criminal charges relating to a former actress, Lucia Evans. She says Weinstein sexually assaulted her in his offices in 2004. Weinstein has repeatedly said he'd never had non-consensual sex with anyone. Actor Morgan Freeman is apologizing after 8 women come forward with accusations of inappropriate behavior and harassment. CNN reports the allegations include unwanted touching and inappropriate comments about women's bodies and clothing. The actions reportedly took place on a movie set while promoting movies and at his production company. Today, the 80-year-old actor released a statement saying he's sorry if he ever made anyone feel uncomfortable or disrespected. He goes on to say he never intended to make anyone feel uneasy.
Baltimore County has a new county executive tonight, and he's no stranger to county government. Jeff Abel shows us how Don Mahler won unanimous approval from the county council.
Well, it's been 2 weeks now since the passing of former county executive Kevin Kamenetz, and today the county council named his top assistant to replace him.
I'm very humbled at the council's action this morning. This was not supposed to happen.
Don Mahler has spent 8 years as the top assistant to County Executive Kevin Kamenetz. Now, 2 weeks after Kamenetz's death, Don Mahler has been chosen to finish his unexpired term.
I think if Kevin Kamenetz was still alive, he would want to continue his agenda, of course. And who better to do that than his own chief of staff and one of his closest advisors?
In a unanimous vote this morning, the county council named Mahler as Baltimore County's 13th county executive. The vote comes after a public forum Tuesday night where County Councilwoman Vicki Allman removed her name from consideration, and several residents suggested Mahler as the new executive.
We just need stability right now, and no, I cannot think of anybody that can offer that stability right now and that leadership than Don Mahler.
The ayes have it. Congratulations, Mr. Mahler, next county executive.
After the vote, Mahler thanked the council and vowed that the priorities of Kevin Kamenetz will be his priorities too.
I've raised my family here. My children are raising their families here. I love Baltimore County, and I think all of us who work together have a real commitment to making sure that when we walk out of here in December, the county is in good shape.
Those priorities include public safety and public education. Mahler will be sworn in sometime in the next 30 days. In Towson, Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Drinking wine may shorten your life by 30 minutes. A new study suggests drinking wine raises the risk of heart disease. A study published in the Lancet Medical Journal also set new recommendations for American wine drinkers at 5 glasses per week. Other studies have suggested wine, especially red wine, could be good for the heart, so you make up your own mind. Leg exercise appears to be critical for keeping the nervous system healthy. A new study on mice found a link between leg muscles and the neural system. The report suggests exercise generates new neurons in the brain and can slow the damage from Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease.
Time now for a look at our detailed weekend forecast.
Here's meteorologist Vita Screen.
Well, it looks like we're going to get a few showers moving in, but we'll start the day off tomorrow. Plenty of sunshine Friday, Saturday, some sun, a few showers in the afternoon. The same for Sunday, about a 40 to 60% chance getting into Sunday. But on Memorial Day, I'm going to break it down for you. Looking at the day on Monday, as of now, looking at about a 40% chance for some showers, maybe 50, but it looks like 40% chance. So we may see some scattered showers midday through the morning and afternoon. But it looks like by the late afternoon, maybe a few rumbles of thunder in the neighborhood, but just have those the rain gear nearby, but nonetheless, it looks like we'll probably have some passing showers here and there, but there will be some pokes of sunshine here and there through the weekend as well. But definitely starting off beautiful for tomorrow and parts of Saturday, and we'll hope to keep our fingers crossed to keep some of that rain away. Back to you.
Vetus, thank you. Do you know someone who's making a difference in the community? Well, you can recognize their efforts by nominating them for Fox 45's Pay It Forward. They could win $500. Go to foxbaltimore.com and click on contests to read the rules and tell us what someone is doing to improve the lives of people around Baltimore.
Coming up on the late edition, an amazing outpouring of emotion and support for a fallen Baltimore County police officer. We take you to Perry Hall, where hundreds turned out to pay their respects to Officer Amy Caprio.
Is there friction between Joe Flacco and his would-be successor, Lamar Jackson? Hear from the quarterback himself next in Sports Unlimited.
Ravens have spent most of the week in organized team activities. Today, the media was admitted for the first time, and for us, it was a good opportunity to get to the bottom of a seeming controversy. And it involves the quarterbacks. It started out as internet noise. Joe Flacco was apparently not happy about the Ravens drafting his seeming successor, Lamar Jackson. And Joe didn't help matters much when he refused to comment at the team's draft day party. Today, Flacco went on the record once and for all. He says there's no problem at all with Jackson on the field or off.
They want to act like I'm holding some grudge, and that's not how it is. I mean, I think you guys have been around me for a long time, and you know the way I am. And, you know, we welcome Lamar here with open arms, and that's the same for me. And at the same time, my approach doesn't change. You know, I want to go win football games this year, and we got a lot of new guys that I have to get ready to play and help us win those games. So that's the reality of it.
Baseball, think you had a bad day? I guarantee White Sox starter Lucas Giolito had a worse one. He began the game by walking in 2 runs. There's one of them there. And then later in the first, Chance Cisco doubles. Chris Davis and Pedro Alvarez both score. That makes it 4-0 after 1. Second inning, the torture continues for Giolito. First, Trey Mancini rips this home run to left field. That's his 7th of the season. 5-0 Birds. Then Adam Jones jerks this one to right center over a leaping angle out there. Back-to-back home runs, and the O's build a 9-0 lead. That was more than enough for that guy, Dylan Bundy, who struck out 14, gave up just 2 hits, and here he goes the distance as the O's win it 9-3. Morgan Atzett reports from Owings Mills. That's at 11:30 as Sports Unlimited continues.
Slumping cereal sales. The new flavor one is trying after the break.
Well, in a rare move from Kellogg, you may soon have a new flavor to wake up to in the morning.
That's right. The company is debuting a new fruity flavor in their Fruit Loops. Can you believe this? Wild berry.
Okay.
The berry-flavored bit will come in the form of a purple star that will be added to Fruit Loops' red, blue, and green rings. Oh, they're really mixing it up. U.S. cereal sales have dropped 9% in the past 5 years. A research firm predicts they will drop another 5% over the next 5 years. Experts say people are increasingly exchanging sugary cereals for healthier options like yogurt or protein and fruit bars.